but America didn't cause the deaths of those people. There was an initial attack on the governmental, on the Iraqi regime, which was successful. And after that, unfortunately, what the American government miscalculated was the presence of outside factors that took over Iraq. For instance, Iran, Al-Qaeda, and that was the mistake that America made. But you can't hold America responsible for war crimes, because for war crimes you have to have an intention to kill someone. And there was no intention for what took place in Iraq.
Okay. All right. Well, let me switch back to New York. Now, Mr. Maupin, one would think that in these very tough economic times, at least even if we look at this from the financial aspect and the costs these wars have had on the American economy itself, that there would be more Americans demanding not only compensation for the costs that have been inflicted on the taxpayers, but in general wanting someone to answer to them for destroying the society itself, the economy. Now, I know that you're a part of the Occupy movement, but in general, have we seen, we're not really seeing the mass protests, major numbers that one would expect from the American people at this point in time. What's your take?
Well, you know, the wrecking of the U.S. economy, this is something that the U.S. corporations and bankers which own the U.S. government are very good at. You know, when they overthrew the socialist governments of Eastern Europe and put them in there, they replaced the socialist governments with governments that with higher rates of sex trafficking. The life expectancies went down. Every time they've overthrown a government and done this, they have never created peace or prosperity. It's always led to mass suffering for people all over the world. And the idea that these people in the U.S. who send their NYPD out to run at us with orange nets, to pepper spray people, to break people's ribs, to step on people, to grab people, that do that when people just demonstrate for the crime of holding a sign in a street, you know, to think that this government is a symbol of democracy is outrageous. You know, prior to the sanctions that were put on Iraq, you know, Iraq had one of the higher life expectancies in the Middle East because they had seized the oil. The oil in Iraq did not belong to the Wall Street bankers and the corporations, and as a result, it went to provide for the economy in Iraq. Well, now that those profits are on Wall Street, and those profits are in the hands of Wall Street bankers and corporations, and the people of Iraq are in misery. There is not a single place in this world where the bankers and the corporations have intervened, have overthrown a government, have killed people, and they do kill people massively, and the result has been good for the people. The result has always been the life expectancy of the people going down, misery, and the profits being sucked out of that country, the economy being sucked out of that country and going to the bankers and the corporations on Wall Street. And that is the result of what U.S. imperialism and what the bankers and the corporations have. And they're doing it in the United States. They're destroying the economy. They're creating a low-wage system. And as a result, there are millions and millions of youth in this country who don't have a future. And their only choice is to pour out into the street and to demand justice. The Trayvon Martin case, coming up on April 10th, there's going to be mass demonstrations because that's when the grand jury is going to decide. The U.S. corporations and the bankers are so determined to keep racism, this ugly tool they've used to divide the working class and play worker against worker. They can't even convict a man who shot someone through the chest. They can't even charge him with a crime. That's how important racism is in maintaining their system and keeping their order and their power in the U.S. I mean, this whole system is based in profits and exploitation, and nowhere in the earth, nowhere can you show me a single place where the U.S. has gone in, intervened, and helped the people. The people have always ended up in a worse situation. The economies have gotten worse, but the profits have gone up. The bankers and the corporations which rule this government are the worst mass murderers in this world.
Well,
and if we had a just society, they would be in prison right now for crimes against humanity because they committed them before the entire world, but they've gotten away with it.
Well, Mr. Millett, I'll let you answer Mr. Maupin. He says nowhere has the United States gone that they have actually spread democracy and actually brought help to the people, but instead spread violence. Do you find that what he's saying is true or not true?
Well, I think, I mean, you could take any amount of evidence. You could look at, I think, George Bush's government was one of the biggest contributors to getting rid of malaria or providing for malaria vaccinations in Africa. I think we see about still 3,000 children possibly dying every day in Africa, and I think America is at the forefront of trying to stop this kind of massacre that is taking place every day, which is seemingly overlooked by the likes of Mr. Maupin, who are just interested in attacking America and sort of he's interested in worldwide Marxist revolution.